Brandon, a homeless man with only $2 to his name, sees an elderly man struggling to pay for a bottle of water at a gas station. Despite his own poverty, Brandon steps up and pays for the water, sacrificing his last $2. The rest of the story is really shocking. Brandon shuffled into the gas station store, clutching his paper cup with a few coins. As he neared an aisle, a loud voice caught his attention. He looked over and saw a line of frustrated shoppers behind an elderly man who seemed hard of hearing. "I'm sorry, young lady. What did you say about the water being funny?" the elderly man asked the cashier. "Money," she groaned. "I said you don't have enough money, sir." "Yes, it was a sunny day," the man replied with a frown. A younger guy behind the man grabbed his shoulder and shouted in his ear, "You need more cash for the water!" Brandon watched the scene unfold, hesitating to intervene. The man explained he needed a smaller bottle of water to take his pills, but the cashier was unsympathetic. "If you can't pay, you'll have to leave," she shouted, snatching the water bottle from him. "Yeah, get lost, old man," a woman in the queue yelled. The elderly man pleaded that he needed to take his pills, but no one listened. Brandon had seen enough. He approached the cashier and emptied his cup of coins onto the counter. "Have a heart, lady," he said, offering his last $2 to cover the water. The cashier reluctantly accepted, and Brandon handed the bottle to the old man. They left the store together. "Thank you," the elderly man said, but Brandon shrugged it off and headed back to his tent near the gas station. The man called after him, asking why he helped when he obviously needed the money. "If there's one thing I've learned from being homeless," Brandon replied, "it's that the world works better when people are kind. No one else was going to help you." The next morning, as Brandon was dividing cold fries among his 3 kids, a sleek silver sedan pulled up near his tent. A man in a tailored suit stepped out and approached him. "Morning, sir. I have a message for you," he said, handing Brandon an envelope. Brandon wiped his hands and took it. Inside was a letter from the elderly man, revealing that he was a wealthy business owner who had decided to leave his company to Brandon as a reward for his kindness. But the letter contained a chilling warning. "Beware of my son. He will stop at nothing to take what he believes is his." Brandon was stunned and skeptical. Was this some sort of joke? But the man in the suit produced official-looking documents and insisted that Mr. Grives's wishes were genuine. He drove Brandon and his children to a massive mansion, which was supposed to be their new home. As they arrived, Brandon stared at the grand colonial-style mansion. But the moment they stepped inside, a sense of unease crept over him. The house was in disarray. A table lay on its side in the hallway. A painting was impaled on the banister, and a closet had been toppled over. Brandon dumped their bags and ran outside to call the police. When they arrived, the officers found no signs of forced entry and suggested that whoever had done this had legitimate access to the house. Brandon began to suspect Mr. Grives's son, Christopher. The next day, Mr. Grives's secretary arrived and took Brandon shopping and to the barber before bringing him to the company office. There, Brandon tried to familiarize himself with his new responsibilities, but his mind was on the chaos at the mansion. Suddenly, the doors burst open. A middle-aged man in a dark suit stormed in. "You must be Brandon," he said, shutting the door behind him. "I'm Christopher, one of Mr. Grives's, business partners. I'm here to save you from a heap of trouble." "I'm sorry? What trouble?" Brandon asked. Christopher explained that part of the business was illegal and demanded Brandon pay him $2 million or transfer the company to him. When Brandon refused, Christopher threatened him and his children. Fearful but determined, Brandon started digging through the company's files. He found a hidden ledger that confirmed the illegal activities. Realizing the danger they were in, Brandon contacted the FBI. When Christopher kidnapped Brandon's children, Brandon cooperated with the FBI to set a trap. They orchestrated a meeting where Christopher was supposed to receive the documents transferring the company to him. The FBI tracked the exchange and successfully rescued the children while arresting Christopher. As Christopher was led away, he yelled, "You'll regret this, Brandon! You'll be left with nothing!" Brandon knew the investigation might strip him of everything, but he was willing to face that if it meant his children were safe. He hugged them tightly and said, "As long as we stick together, we'll always be rich in the most important way: love. The world's wealth comes and goes, but the love we share is a treasure no one can take away." The FBI took the evidence and assured Brandon that Christopher would face justice. Despite the uncertain future, Brandon felt a sense of peace knowing his family was safe and that they had each other.